This is the bike that Jonas Vingegaard will be using on the flatter and rolling stages of the Tour de France, but Cervélo have been very busy bees. They've actually launched 3 brand new bikes, all in quite quick succession, so I don't envy their marketing team. One's a gravel bike, but 2 of them are going to be used by the Visma team here at the Tour de France. This, the S5, and also the R5, which has been updated. You can find some information about that on the Hot Tech video that we released quite recently. Now, on initial inspection, when you first look at it, there doesn't seem any massively clear differences between this S5 and the predecessor that's just been replaced. However, this is all new, the whole system, which is the frame forks and the cockpit there at the front. The aim for the designers was to retain all of the handling characteristics of the previous model, but to make it lighter and to make it more aerodynamic. Not an easy task, but they claim that they've managed it. So measured in a wind tunnel at 30 miles per hour, this bike is 6.3 watts more efficient than the previous S5. And as you see the bike here now, without the bottles, it comes in at just a shade over 7 kilograms. Now, in terms of where the weight has been lost, it's actually heavier at the fork legs there. They're much beefier, and that has increased the aerodynamics. So the weight loss has come from the rest of the frame and also from the integrated bar and stem setup there at the front. It's not just the frame set and the bars that are new, the wheels are new as well. These are the 57 at the front and a 64 at the rear. It means the rear wheel is 1 millimeter deeper than it was before, but a bigger difference here at the front of 5 millimeters versus what they were using before. I've been told that in isolation, they are faster than any wheel that Cervélo have ever produced. They're the reserve make, which is part of the Cervélo brand. But in this system in particular, they've made a big difference to the overall aerodynamics of this bike. On those wheels, we've got the Vittoria Corsa Pro graphene in a size 29, and measured with calipers, I can tell you they are exactly 29 millimeters wide. Moving on to the drivetrain, Jumbo-Visma, as they were before, and Visma Lease a Bike now, have been long-time users as the SRAM Red Axis electronic group set, which is exactly what you see on this bike. In terms of the ratios, well, he's running a 1-by on this bike. It's a 52-tooth front chainring, and the cassette here at the rear goes from 10 all the way up to 36. Now, much was made at the start of this year, I think it was the Vuelta al Algarve, of the crank length that Jonas Vingegaard is using this year. And I can confirm that at the Tour de France, he is indeed using very, very short cranks. 160 millimeters, so it's a full 5 millimeters shorter even than Tadej Pogacar. Now, Cervélo have been working with wolf's tooth to create the chain guard that you see there at the front, just to prevent the chain coming off when they're running the 1-by SRAM group set. Really neat design. There's some tape just here, but there's a bolt that just goes in where the front derailleur would normally be mounted if you're using a 2-by group set. At the top of the bike, he's still using his Prologo saddle. He's got a Garmin there at the front. But also on the R5, when they want their bike to be super light and right on the 6.8 kilogram UCI limit, obviously for the mountainous stages, they've got a minute Garmin that they use then. Pedals he's using remain the same as they have been for quite some time at this point. They're the one-sided aerodynamic Wahoo Speedplay pedals. So, a couple more obligatory parts that I've got to check. Firstly, whether or not the chain is waxed. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to that. It is indeed waxed, as you would expect for a guy that's trying to win his 3rd Tour de France. And I'm going to do the obligatory measurements of the bars at the front. I mean, Jonas is a rider that's fairly small in stature, so you would imagine they're going to be quite narrow, and he'll have to change them next year if the UCI stick to their regulations. So if I measure them outside to outside at the base, they're 42 centimeters, which is absolutely fine. Outside to outside at the tops here though, 39 centimeters. So around about centimeters shorter, narrower should I say, than they're going to have to be from next year. And then between the hoods, it's not super narrow, I've got to say. He's running at 30 centimeters. That is too short of next year's UCI regulations, but not a huge shift there. I do wonder though whether those new UCI regulations are going to be implemented next year. I've been speaking to quite a few people here at the Tour de France, and particularly the manufacturers have been speaking to the UCI about whether anything can be done. Obviously it is a massive upheaval to try and change the design, which takes so long to do it in the first place. And so many of the riders, I would say 85 to 90% of the bikes that I've measured here at the Tour de France do not meet these new requirements. So it's going to be a really big upheaval for the teams and the riders and the equipment manufacturers if they do have to make that change. So let me know what you guys think. You can leave your comments and opinions in the comment section just down below. You know that I've got a long-term relationship with Cervélo from my days in the test team, so I very much like this bike. Right, we'll be back soon with more pro bikes from the Tour de France. You thought I'd forgotten, didn't you? Here we go. We shall leave you with that. I can tell you that the wheels are not balanced, or I'm very, very weak.